You think you know the royal family? Think again. Because from within the hallowed, guarded chambers of Buckingham Palace, something explosive has shattered the pageant of pomp and tradition. It's a tale I never imagined I'd pen as a staunch supporter and chronicler of the monarchy's dignified endurance. But I have seen things this week, the anxiety in the corridors, the whispers even among the Queen's most loyal staff, that compel me to put aside all protocol and reveal the unvarnished truth. This is a story not of courtly ritual, but of agony, betrayal, and a power struggle that could redefine the crown for generations. It started with a tremor, a subtle, almost invisible shudder that ran through the marble bones of the palace. 4 months, all across Whitehall and Windsor, courtiers have sensed it. A gathering storm, a brewing insurrection where loyalty is wafer-thin and every shadow hides a listening ear. But on that unforgettable day, the earthquake hit. The steely whispers that Parliament was conspiring to expel Queen Camilla from the royal fold became a deafening crescendo. Sources at the highest echelons say the corridors echoed with feet, staff rushing, phone calls intercepted before the world, or even Her Majesty, understood what had come to pass. The facts are almost too surreal for even a royal chronicler to write. A vote, an ancient law, a family reckoning like nothing Britain has seen in centuries. But beyond the headlines and hashtags, what really happened? Who orchestrated this downfall and why? Was this the future king's risky gambit, or the final fulfillment of Prince Charles's bitter legacy? Inside the palace, from privilege to peril. Let us begin behind the gilded doors, where Queen Camilla, long the outsider within, awoke to the unthinkable. She had become the hunted prey of the very institution she spent decades fighting to enter. You want pain points? Try being the Queen who sits in splendid isolation as Parliament, in a rare and somber session, debates her very right to continue as consort. Built for stoicism, Camilla nearly wavered. Those close to her say she was white-knuckled, bracing for the onslaught, every steely public smile hiding nights of terror and self-doubt. I have it from impeccable sources. When the Speaker's gavel fell, it was as if the earth vanished beneath her. Every MP in that echoing chamber was a potential executioner, and the silence as her fate was decided was thick with centuries of royal ghosts. One aide described the atmosphere as post-apocalyptic, another swore even the portraits flinched on the walls. But this was no ordinary parliamentary maneuver. The law used to strike Camilla's name from the royal list, a relic from the seditious 1600s, was rumored by legal historians to be as obsolete as witch-hunting statutes. Yet out it came, resurrected not just as legal precedent but as the monarchy's own instrument of public ritual sacrifice. Was it justice? Was it revenge? Or was it something so much darker, a centuries-old vendetta that found its victim at last? The palace plot, betrayals born of blood. And here's where the true aches reside, not just in the public court but the hidden theatre of kin against kin. Even as newshounds bayed for scandal and parliamentarians rehearsed their speeches, the real drama erupted at Windsor, where the royal family convened a tribunal unseen since Plantagenet times. I have witnessed the bitter tears of palace veterans who believed the crown's greatest threat came from Parliament. They were wrong. It was the family itself, fractured, raw, stripped of its honeyed, united image, that proved Camilla's undoing. Prince William, once the very model of composure, led the charge, speaking in clipped, deliberate fury about the need to renew and purify the royal bloodline. Princess Anne, never one to suffer fools, delivered her verdict with icy frankness. There were no palace courtesies, only accusations sharp as daggers, recited one by one as Camilla's courage crumbled. But it was the return of Prince Harry, his eyes stormy with the pain of old wounds, that detonated the emotional bomb. In that room echoing with centuries of stately whispers, Harry branded Camilla the calculated choice that broke a kingdom and cost my mother everything. The words were more than personal, they were ancestral curses, ripping up the carpets of myth and forcing the royals to confront their most damning hour. Queen Camilla, desperate, offered what some called her first true confession. I have failed, but I have always believed in this family. Not one head was bowed in sympathy. Not even Prince Andrew, himself a scandal magnate, broke his cold stare. The silencing of a king. If you listened on the other side of the palace, you could almost hear the king's famous pen scratching notes, then, nothing but void. Charles, who once braved scandal and the tabloids for Camilla's love, now retired into private chambers, his silence becoming more eloquent than 1,000 royal decrees. Palace loyalists, with sadness in their voices, told me privately, he has abandoned her. Not for another, but for his own survival. One aide summed it up, when your king retreats, your castle has already fallen. Loyal readers, let me be clear, in the palace lexicon, silence is a coup. A nation erupts, the people take sides. Word of Camilla's impending exile spread like wildfire. Overnight, the streets around Buckingham and Windsor became battlefields of banners and bellowed protest. The vox populi that has long whispered doubts about outsiders in the royal family now screamed, "Not our queen." Social media, once content with cute royal babies and wedding photos, metamorphosed into a hydra of hashtags, spilling raw, viral rage across every screen from Edinburgh to Cornwall. Reporters outside the gates, myself among them, found scenes reminiscent of the London riots, protesters volleying insults at loyalists, the police increasingly overwhelmed, and a vast, digital clash on every forum and chat. Among the crowds, the old loyalties of monarchy are melting away, and every tweet and meme is a weapon in a growing war over what the crown truly means. The press, God help them, have not been kind. Camilla's enemies in journalism, some still smarting from her years of guarding royal access, have unleashed expose after expose on everything from expenditures to overreach. Even her closest staffers, always anonymous, always reliable, have begun leaking. If, in another age, the royals feared the guillotine, today it's the relentless blade of public opinion. The confession, a queen's last stand. And so, at sunset, in a moment of high drama and almost unbearable pathos, Camilla stepped in front of the cameras for her last speech as queen consort. Readers, I was there. The palace air hung heavy as she stood, tear-stained but dignified, declaring, "If loving too much is my crime, I consent to judgment." There was no denial, no deflection. Only a battered woman torn between history's cruelty and her own all-too-human need to belong. Chillingly, Camilla's final words hinted at centuries of secrets, the unspoken pacts, old betrayals, and the fractures within the institution itself. "There are cracks in this house," she intoned. Some believed it was blackmail, others a desperate woman's last reach for relevance. But no one in the crowd came away unchanged. The final vote, breaking a queen. The House of Commons, that graveyard of so many royal hopes, now became the execution chamber. I was in the gallery, a witness to history, and to heartbreak. One by one, the MPs declared their votes, and you could almost feel the monarchy itself shudder. With every eye, centuries of unwritten rules snapped. And then, with a final, thunderous count, it was done. Camilla's reign ended, stripped not by fate or misadventure, but by the steady, relentless will of the people's representatives. Exile and the aftermath, a reckoning unfinished. So where is our fallen queen now? Vanished to a remote estate, her legend now a chess piece in the games of tabloids and memoir publishers. There are stories, perhaps they are just that, of Camilla refining her narrative, gathering allies, preparing her vengeance, or perhaps her truest confession. Those within the palace keep their own counsel, all too aware that the monarchy's fabric has been scorched, but not yet torn beyond mending. Will she return? Will her shadow haunt the king and future heirs? Of this, only time will tell. But as Britain reels from a schism that will echo for decades, loyalists and critics alike gather at the crossroads, asking the same burning question: is this the end of Camilla, or merely the next act in the old, brutal drama that is royal survival? Stay with us, for there are more secrets yet to come, and some of them, as I've now learned all too well, could change the fate of the crown forever. Let me know if you need this expanded with even more detail, or if you have specific pain points you'd like heightened further.